So Cooper and
Phil.
Okay, I was gonna say Pat. That would have been wrong. Cooper
Well,
and Phil.
I would have answered.
You would have been
Like-
like, yes, whatever you say.
Sounds good.
Sure.
All right. Gonna go quiet for a second.
Double up, yeah. Double up. The money I call up.
We are at the Milwaukee Tool booth, SEMA 2024, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Day 3, still
Day
fresh.
3 still fresh. Man, you know, that was a saying. So I had a career in radio before I continued just talking for a living. And so we used to do music festivals, and we would have to be there to set up. And it kind of has the same feel of SEMA. You're there to work. It's obviously a large gathering of people, but the work you put in and then the way that you enjoy a music festival or you enjoy Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Every day it'd be like day 1, still fresh. And then your tone in that statement would just fade as you
Yeah.
got day 5, not dead, you know, just
Still breathing.
still here. We were hanging out with Nate. Nate Anderson is hanging out with us. And we're going to talk more about Milwaukee Tool, about innovation. He's brought toys to show.
Ooh,
So we're excited. And he's excited to be a part of the Between Two Wrenches podcast.
Yeah. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
You
Excited to
bet.
be here.
Absolutely. So, what's your story with Milwaukee? How did you end up, wearing the red, having your closet just like Tony's closet, which is basically red, black, and now there's some grays and whites.
Yeah, exactly. We're very monochromatic.
I love that. I love that
Yeah,
about
we
you.
stick to the red. So, I've been with the company about 3 years now.
Okay.
So started with them in the product management role.
Mm-hmm.
Really wanted to understand and dive into the power tool industry. I grew up around it. My dad was in the machining and manufacturing industry, and I always wanted to understand like how are things made, why are things made, how can we make them better, and product
Did
management.
you take things apart a lot as a kid?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Legos, everything. If there's a screw, it's gone.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Dad said to
Same.
stay away from outlets, which I still have all my hair today. So,
I didn't.
Yeah.
You had more fun then.
Uh,
That's just what I grew up doing and love to do, and it's just been exciting to find a role that you're able to do that at Milwaukee Tool, right? You're working with guys who are doing that, and then you're helping them create new solutions, right?
Right.
All the guys have probably talked about too is like we're creating productive and safer solutions for the guys out in the field. We don't create a tool because we want to or because it looks cool. We create it because, hey, there is a problem, there's a frustration. How do we solve that? And that just is what gets my juices going in the morning. It's like, okay, how can we do this? What can we get after today?
That's awesome.
Are you Wisconsin native, or are you from? Where are you from? Originally?
I am from Wisconsin,
Look at
actually.
that.
My dad's office is actually about 2 blocks down from Milwaukee Tool. So grew up going by it all the time.
That's funny.
Until they start getting you right away. As a
Seriously.
kid.
Yeah.
Seeing the red sign.
Yeah, no Milwaukee Tool birthmark or anything, right? So
Nice.
Well, the company culture too is just
Yeah.
it's very energetic and driven by passion. It just seems like from the times that we've not only just seen you guys at the booths, but like when we had the opportunity to visit down at Pipeline.
Yeah.
It's like you could just feel that everybody was there to just make things better, and they genuinely seem to enjoy their job.
yeah, that's a really unique part. It's power tools, and you're like, okay, what can be exciting about that from the outside in? But once you're inside, you realize there's a brotherhood. Right?
Yeah.
We're here to create like solutions for these guys. Like I have so much of respect for these guys working in cars. I'm in the automotive industry. It's like, hey, like these guys are allowing us to get from point A to point B every single day.
Right.
How can we make their job better? And as you guys know, when you get that new tool and it works great, it jazzes you guys up.
Oh yeah,
And it's
absolutely. There's nothing more exciting.
Exactly. It makes it, hey, this is quicker, like quieter,
Yep.
more efficient, saves you guys money. It's like, that's what drives us. And we're like, sweet, let's do it again. Let's
Yeah,
do it
right.
better. How can we get better? And we're all just in it together to do
Yeah.
it. So our culture is really important. And our leadership preaches that from the top down. It's like, hey, no matter what we do, we need to make sure we have that end user focus in mind at all times. If we lose that, we are missing the ball.
Yeah. So one thing that we noticed too is, part of our, our business is to go into other businesses and kind of look internally at, what's missing. Are there gaps? Is there communication issues? And from all the interactions that we've had at Milwaukee Tool, I mean, there was not one thing that we could pick out that wasn't working right. The wheels are greased. Everything just seems to flow from the design to the engineers to the people that are on the floor on the sales. It's just pretty impressive to see how well of a company that Milwaukee Tool is, and to be a part of it's got to be pretty awesome.
Yeah, it is. I mean, one of our slogans is never settled, always improving, and right, and we really take that to heart. We always want to get better. You know, we're not a perfect company, but man, we're going to strive to be really darn good. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, tell us what you
Yeah.
brought to show off today.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously I said I'm in the automotive industry, so SEMA is kind of like the Super Bowl for us. So we, when you guys walk into like a body collision shop, right, what's one of the first noises you hear? It's that buzz of the DA.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
All day long. If you hear a hammer chisel, something's gone wrong, right?
Right. Yeah.
So,
Mayday.
yeah, so what we looked in is like, hey, there's a frustration here. Pneumatic hoses, right? It's day in and day out, pulling it around. We kind of talked about this beforehand. It's just a hassle.
Right.
Now, if you're using a DA and you're using an impact, you start impacting, and guess what? His RPMs just went down on your DA because of the compressor, all that stuff. So we really saw that as an opportunity, and we wanted to show, hey, we are here for the collision technicians. We realize there's a massive opportunity to make their jobs more productive, more safe. What's like the good first tool to go after, and that's what these DAs. So we have two different throws. Are you guys familiar with these at all? Were you able to get hands on these before?
I saw them at Pipeline a little
Okay.
bit, and I knew that they were around. And actually, we have one at the shop now too.
Good.
And we don't do body work, but we do a lot of metal fab and metal finishing. So it's not quite as our go-to is the 4.5-inch angle grinder.
Yeah, exactly.
But this has been hands down a runner-up. So
Wonderful, great. Yeah, and that's a unique thing about this tool, like collision dedication, but like metal fabrication, as you know, like you do have to polish and prep metals in different scenarios. And yeah, if you can get a 6-inch disc, maybe that's a good opportunity. So we have two different throws here. The reason why is when you walk in a collision shop, there's two main technicians, that body technician and that paint technician. And how they use sanders are very differently and why. Right, so for the 3/16" throw,
You just have to touch everything. I love it.
that's great. Get hands on. So the 3/16" throw here, that's really for that body technician, right? They need to remove that material, paint, body filler, things of that nature. Now, just kind of a caveat for these sanders in general. These sanders are made for more of that spot restoration. If you're doing custom collision all day long, or custom cars where you're stripping a whole hood of like the old 80s paint where it's like 6 layers and you need a mud hog for that, to be honest. Like, this is more for that collision technician doing those smaller areas, just because it is cordless, right?
Yeah.
And the power in it. But you'll see online, there's a lot of guys, you probably are familiar with it too, like, it really does hold its own. So this really can cut through that paint and that body filler to really be able to shape it. And then the 3/32 is really for that finer primer coat, scuffing, and then the clear coat wet sanding.
Okay.
So that's what the throws are different. And you see the pads are different too. The red, it's similar to a polisher's. Red is firm, black is soft.
Okay.
So, right, with the paint, you don't really want to create more grooves, and edges, you really want to glide over it. The red is when you're really trying to shape it, right? How many body panels do you see that are straight or flat?
Right.
None.
Yeah.
So
not
like
anymore.
Exactly. So that's why, and another thing we took into account is ergonomics. How do you hold the tool, right? The guys are using one hand, two hands, different variations. So we really developed that entire grip around guys' hands. We literally took models into the field of clay, like, hold this. So they held it, and we were able to take models of their hand.
That's crazy.
Yeah. We spent so much time just on how you hold the tool, because we realize that's important.
Well, it's super important. Like, and I never in a million years would have thought of all the tools to go after, that was the one where you were like, actually, like, it almost seemed like it's the hardest one, because like a DA is just, they're just run on air because you don't run out. But I don't know how many times I've had issues with, like you said, variable air flow, and then, and you're constantly adjusting the dial on it, and then pretty soon your hand's numb and cold.
Yep.
So yeah, just holding this is like
Super light.
Yeah, and balanced well.
And that's another thing, right? We can talk about this later, but the bare tool versus kit. Like the kit, we include both the 2.5 amp hour and the 5 amp hour high output batteries. And that's due to, one's more of the size and weight. If you need more of that ergonomic, you're just kind of going between small jobs, that 2.5 is going to really do the job. But if you're like, hey, I have a little bit larger spot, you can throw the 5 amp hour on and still get 5 to 6 doors done.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, it's
so
incredible.
what like runtime ish?
Yeah.
So what's the runtime of the 5 amp hour and what's the runtime of the 2.5?
Yeah, great question. So I always say this caveat, right? It's sanding. What
Yeah,
grit are
right.
you using? How hard are you pressing? I mean, like, it seems kind of like no doubt. But it's good to know, because if you're using 80 grit and you're really pushing on it, it will take more of it. I mean, there's videos online of guys using 1,000, 2,000 grit sandpaper and going through 10 plus panels because they're just scuffing it, right? Which is really impressive. So the way we categorize it, it's actually slightly different between the two due to the throw size. So for the 3/16, that more aggressive throw, the 2.5 amp hour battery gets about 3 doors done. So we categorize it like, how do guys see in the shop? What do they think of jobs? And typically a panel, right? So a panel or two. So like, okay, about 3 doors, and then you double it for the 5 amp hour, so it's about 5 to 6. And then for the 3/32, it's actually a little bit more because of that less aggressive throw. So for the 2.5, it's 5 doors, and for the 5, it's 10 doors.
Wow.
And again, right, you're doing more paint scuffing. You're not using a higher grit. That really reduces it. And it's also the speed. We talked about it a little bit. The variable speed trigger and the variable speed dial, the more you play with that dial and speed and lower it, the just more runtime. So we really wanted to have a conservative, aggressive approach to that panels, just to showcase, like, hey, this can get a lot done in a day.
Well, and every body technician kind of has their own way of doing it.
Exactly.
And it sounds like it's really, you're really able to dial in for the specific needs of the user.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, she wanted to make a guest appearance on our podcast again. This is why we do this. The ambiance of actually being here at SEMA.
It's about to get crazy.
The show is now open. Everybody, come and visit us in the Milwaukee Tool booth.
There we go.
No,
There
Three
we go.
Doors. Three Doors Done. One of my favorite late '90s rock bands.
There you go.
Oh, it is. It's nuts.
Yeah, but it'll get 3 doors done. Down.
There we go.
Very cool.
What are some other things that you guys took into account? There was something about, and I heard this at Pipeline. You integrated a tool to be able to change the pad into
Yeah.
Because the story I heard was that
I'm so ready.
was that somebody was literally sitting in a shop watching body technicians work, and they kept going back to their toolbox to fumble for the little Allen or the little wrench kit that comes with the DA to change the pad, and they were just like, well, that seems like a waste of steps. How can we do that?
Yeah, that was me. That's
Really?
my job. Yeah, like that's the cool
so
thing.
cool.
It is a true story.
It is. It's a legitimate
Not
true
made up.
story. That's the interesting thing about Milwaukee Tool. Like, we're not just sitting behind a desk like, oh, this would be fun. Who did X, Y, and Z? It's like, hey, we're gonna sit with a user. It's kind of a weird term, but belly to belly. How can we understand what they do from they get up to they go to bed? Because the more we understand that, the more we can drive innovation, and that's where it came from. I was sitting there, I was watching these guys. I'm like, how do you change your backing pads? And how often? They're like, every 3 to 9 months, depending on how aggressive I am. I'm like, hey, that's a good amount per year. I'm like, how do you do it? They take this wrench and they fumble, and it looks like they're about to break the tool to find the right spot.
It's so hard to get those things to get off.
You get it, and some guys you see put washers in between, and that can totally mess with the whole gyros of the tool, and you can even break the tool just by doing that, and the pad's not held. So there's a whole myriad of reasons. So like, okay, there's got to be a better way.
Yeah.
So my role is then to bring that back to our engineering team and be like, hey guys, here's the problem. The wrench idea, it's not floating the boat. Like, this is not going to work. How can we make it better? So basically, we integrated it into the tool.
Okay.
So you can grab that tool that I'll show you. But basically, you press this little button down, kind of like our fastback knives.
Oh, right here?
Press it down towards the pad.
Oh, down towards the pad.
Yeah, and it pops out. And then all you do is pull it back, and it'll basically grab on. So now it's integrated into the tool, so that wrench, you don't have to stick one in. And then what it also allows you to do is change backing pads more often. Hey, I want to use a soft pad.
Well, right, yeah, because it's not a hassle, so then you'd actually do it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the little things that really help the users understand, like, hey, we're not just here to make a tool.
That's freaking rad.
Yeah.
Man, you guys.
The innovation doesn't stop. The
And
innovation train is coming through.
It is.
Yep.
It's bright red.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. So, and it's just one of those things. It's the little details matter.
Yeah.
Really matters, because right, if they're doing that 4 times a year and that used to take them 10 minutes, that's 40 minutes. That's an hour less. Now, it doesn't seem like much, but now guys have the opportunity to do something different. Hey, I want to use my soft pad with an interface pad instead of my firm pad. They can swap it off real quick and get back to the job, because you guys know time is money. These guys are on a piece rate, so they have to be able to get through that piece quickly to get to the paint shop, or the paint shop to get back to the body tech to put it on the car. So we really want to take all that into account with this.
And these are not brand new, but like a couple of months old, right?
These are going to be on the shelf in December.
Or
so these are brand new.
They are brand new.
Yeah.
All right.
Not
I couldn't remember if they were
just
out
yet.
or not. That's
So,
right.
Like I always say, keep your eyes on those when the podcast
Yeah,
is over.
exactly. One might be walking away.
Yeah,
So.
well, no, that's
What's that
exciting.
in your pocket, sir? Nothing to see here.
It's not a sander. What are you
No,
talking about?
right.
What's that over there?
But I will say one more thing that we
Yeah.
really wanted to include in this, right? Because this comes in a bare tool and a kit. We already talked about the batteries a little bit with runtime, but one of the frustrations we saw too was that when you looked at different competitors, you realize like, what is the difference? You see 12 different model numbers.
Yeah.
What is going on? You realize one of the biggest thing was vacuums and then the pads that came with it. So our tool is central vac. So what that means is when you turn on the tool, it won't create a vacuum within the tool. There's no fan pulling out, but you can attach a vacuum to pull through the tool. That's why you see
no
the
way.
5 little holes
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
pad
yeah.
and everything like that. And we have adapters to go in the back for both the left and right side. Because we see this trend of keeping shops cleaner,
Yep.
vacuum solutions, things like that. We have some options for that as well. So we really want to showcase that, like, hey, it can do best of both worlds. If you don't use a vacuum, you're good to go. You're not worried about it throwing it
Yeah.
like other tools with that
Right.
fan. But if you do use a vacuum, we got you covered. And then
That's
the
cool.
second thing was too the backing pads. So both the bare tool and the kit come with 2 backing pads. So let's take the 3/16 for example. They'll come with 2 firm backing pads, so both the red pads, but one will be that hook it, right, that Velcro, and then one will be stick it. Because we realize, shops are typically the ones buying the sandpaper, so they're at the mercy of whatever the shop has, whether it's price or they
Yep.
have likely to some sales reps. So we want to say, hey, no matter what sander you buy, you have the backing pad, you're good to go. So there's no
That's-
more fiddling around with like, I have the wrong one, shoot.
Or which one? Yeah. Oh man, which one did I have? Is it hook it 1, hook it 2?
Exactly.
And then, no, I've gone down that rabbit hole before too.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you're truly just thinking of everything.
Trying to. And
Yeah.
we're always improving. And that's a great thing. Now we see guys like yourselves with the sanders and you come out, people are commenting like that. We're still learning. We're always looking to learn and grow.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause we've had people from your team come to the shop and literally belly to belly with the technician and just learn about how their hand fits on a tool, where it fits down, where they're using it. So it's really just it's cool to be a witness to exactly how you guys do it instead of like it's been mentioned by you and by others. You're not just like we need to make a sander, so we're going to make one.
Yeah, we're the tool experts, so
Yeah.
just stand back and let us
don't
do our
you,
thing.
you
yeah.
who actually uses this tool,
Right.
you don't have any input on this. We know what we're talking about. It's-
Yeah, you guys
it's
are
really
expert problem solvers.
Yeah.
and I think that,
Solutions-based.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. We can identify a problem and learn how to solve it, right?
Yep.
Because we're not the ones using it all day.
Right.
We know
Right.
that, but like, man, if we go to the guys who are using it, right? Like my example, it's kind of outlandish, but it's like we could make an impact wrench that does 10,000 foot-pounds of torque. Cool, you could do that, but if it weighs 150 pounds and it costs
Right.
outrageous amount of money, who's
Right.
going to buy it? Like, no
Nobody.
one.
Right.
But if you make a tool that's dedicated, like, hey, there is a problem, we can make a solution, that's where we win.
It provides more value than you can dream of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So is this your first SEMA, or have you been on it before?
2 years ago,
2
I
years?
was here, and I helped announce the band file. So back-to-back
Nice.
big announcements, and that was a huge success as well for both fabrication and automotive
Oh, yeah.
and everything in between. So it's been really fun. SEMA is a great show. It's just fun to see all the different vendors here, and I mean, I'm a big car guy too, so it's just fun to look at the cars, to be honest
Right.
with you.
Have you had a chance to walk around at all?
Not yet.
All right.
I'm going to. Today's the day.
Today's the day?
It's more of a run to
Oh,
try
yeah.
to see all
Yeah,
of
you
it, but
gotta-
like we'll make it work. Yeah.
for sure.
It's a lot of cool stuff, and there always is, and to be a part of, I think, the pieces that put those builds together.
Yeah.
They're all found right here at Milwaukee Tool. So the cohesion of you guys being here, a part of SEMA, a part of Industry Week, is
Yeah.
a testament to getting into the shops,
Yeah.
getting into automotive. Back in I think 2016 is the year that.
I don't know why I
it
think
just-
that, but at least that was.
Was that
it
when you were
made-
building
maybe-
your deck and you were like, I could use that in my shop?
I think that was when whether or not that was when you guys were hitting the scene, that was when it really made an impact, I think,
Yeah.
for me
So-
in our shop.
Cool to see. And do you have a favorite? I mean, besides all the vehicles, like being in the booth, like what's your favorite part about interacting with people,
Yeah.
answering questions? Like what gives you joy?
That's a great question. I think my favorite part is when guys come up, they're like, I've been waiting to see this. Like, they
Yeah.
see the videos, the podcasts. Like, they're
Right.
like, I can't believe you finally made this DA. I had this idea. It's like, that's what they get excited about, because it shows, like, hey, like, what we set out to do is coming to fruition. Like, it's
Right.
even more fun than, like, 3-6 months down the road. They're like, like what you said, like, I'm gonna pick this up and I'm never gonna use it a pneumatic one again. Like,
Right.
that's just the best part.
Right.
It might take 2.5 years to get there, or however long it takes to do it,
Yeah.
but it's worth it every time.
That's
no
cool.
need, no need to rush it. I mean,
No.
get it right, because we know you're going back to the drawing board with it to improve it anyway. So
Exactly.
Right.
Do it right. Keep it going.
Yeah.
Awesome. Nate, thanks so much for the time, man.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it and showing us the tools. Enjoy your run around SEMA. It's
Thank you.
what 21.3 miles.
It's
I
a
think, if you
long
do
way.
all
It's
the-
pretty much a marathon if you do all the aisles.
Wow. All right. I need my running shoes then. These dress shoes will not work.
Yeah, gonna have a lot of New Balances. We're going to need those here today, Dad's shoes. Awesome. We're hanging out at SEMA Milwaukee Tool booth 2024. It's been great. It's been fun. Let's go check out some more things.
Yes, sir. Let's do it. Thanks, Coop.
Double up.